Hello, you wonderful people of the internet. I am the Zodiac Lord, and I'm finally back with more Fuseday Tuesday. I know it's been a long time since I've actually done this because I've changed how I did it, and then I went on vacation, and whew, that was a ride. And I'm actually going to be making a video at some point talking about my adventures in Mexico because, oh boy, was that fun. I'm just the only thing stopping me there is I'm actually making a certain picture that I'm going to talk over my trip with Mexico in because it features two new characters that are based on two souvenirs that I got from Mexico. So yeah, that's a thing that's going to be happening at some point in time. But yeah, finally, fusions, yay! So this one was Aquamarine and Topaz, yay! I wasn't really surprised. Considering that in some of the other polls, whenever Aquamarine was the host, Topaz would get rather close in, like rather close second, you know. So this one didn't really surprise me, and it was interesting. I will say doing these fusions with like Aquamarine and like Aquamarine because I really done any others with Topaz, and then this one too. It's been a weird challenge because it's kind of hard for me to think of like a good personality or theme to go off of because we just don't know the characters terribly well. And I will give like big props in the fact that we do know enough where I can actually do fusions of them because we do know enough about them that I can get some kind of assessment on their personality or whatever. But so it's been a weird challenge. And this one was also kind of hard because their designs are very simplistic, really. So it was kind of challenging to try and find a way to fuse Aquamarine and Topaz together without it looking like every other one you'd see on the internet that already exists. But other than that, this is their fusion, and I think it turned out okay. I mean, it's been a little while, and honestly, I don't know. It's not my personal favorite, I don't think. But I think it turned out okay, and I think what I'm most joyous about is the gem I picked, and I picked the gem way in advance, like before I even went on vacation, and I picked Emerald for their fusion, and I gotta say this. I'm aware, and this is spoilers, I guess, if you haven't seen the new the new promo, stuff that they released for Steven Universe, the new sneak peek, that's what it is. If you haven't seen the new sneak peek, there is apparently a canon emerald now in the sneak peek. So when I saw that, it was like right before I sat down and I drew this, and I was like, oh my god, everyone's gonna talk about this. I was a bit, I'm prepared for all the comments saying Emerald's now gonna be a thing, because everyone did that whenever Patty was introduced. Everyone went to my Garnet Ametrine fusion. It was just like a week later, and it's like, oh look, now she's canon. And it was really funny because I had people whom I'm assuming don't know my stance on like non-fusion / fusion gems, whatever. They were asking, like, I know there was one person in particular who asked a while back, this is a long time ago, but there was a person who asked, like, well, now that Sapphire is now a canon gem in the show, what would be your second choice for Garden Ametrine Fusion? And I legitimately commented with the exact same name of the fusion because, again, that's my own stance on it. And just to reiterate for people who don't know, I know I've gained, like, a lot of subscribers, I think, from the last time I did a Fuseday Tuesday. In case any of you don't know, I have the stance that I believe that like fusion gems can be non-fusion gems and vice versa, meaning like there could be a non-fusion sardonyx somewhere, there could be a fusion of sapphire fusion between two gems that aren't sapphires. That's just kind of what I believe, and whether or not that ends up being canon, even if it is like announced like officially in the show later down the road that, oh yeah, this is not a thing that can happen, I'm still going to be going by that for this series because let's face it, if I keep going at the rate I am, eventually I'm just going to straight up run out of gems if I limit myself to only being able to use gems that don't appear in the show. So that's just my stance on that, and I want to reiterate that so people don't look at this and say, well, now Emerald's a canon gem, so this fusion is therefore like irrelevant, whatever. Because again, that's just what I think. And even then, these aren't meant to be canonical. Like, they're just kind of more for fun. So, you know. But yeah, I did want to say that I am aware that Emerald's not a canon thing. I actually picked Emerald way in advance, and I picked Emerald for a very certain reason that I thought was like very darkly humorous. So, a fun fact about Emerald when I was reading up on it. Now, I was like, sometimes it takes me longer than others to find gems for fusions. Some of them it's like really weirdly hard, like Aquamarine and Lapis. For some reason, I just had a really hard time finding a gem for them, and I don't really even know what it is. You'd think like, oh, they're both blue, it should be easy, but for some reason it's like weird because I gotta like find a gem that like matches both their blues or whatever. But like for this one, it was kind of a bit tricky because I was trying to find something that like worked, I suppose, and then not even to mention I found like some gems, but I'd already used them before, and I'm like, I don't want to like. I mean, I might use duplicates at some point, but I don't want to do it for this one. And but I looked at Emerald because I got to a point where I couldn't decide on one, so I just kind of looked at some other Topaz Aquamarine fusions for some kind of like inspiration. I noticed a lot of them used I think a lot of them used jade or something like that. And I know there was quite a few that used Emerald, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go look at this. So I looked it up and I was reading about it, and I'm like, this seems like okay, it doesn't seem totally accurate. But then I read a little thing at the bottom of that paragraph that I was reading, and it said, it was like talking about like romance, emerald relation, whatever. And it said like, give your lover an emerald for them to be loyal to you. And it was, I started laughing. It was like so darkly humorous to me because I mean, like, you know, just like give them an emerald if you want them to stay loyal to you. And I was thinking like, that's like bribing loyalty or whatever. And I was like, wow, that is such a dark fit for Aquamarine and Topaz. Because I mean, if we think about the episodes, spoiler alerts, I mean, I guess if you don't know who these characters are, then you're behind anyway, I guess. But if we remember right, it was like Aquamarine and Topaz's relationship wasn't that swell. So, you know, I thought it was just very darkly fitting to them to have like a gem that you give to your lover if you want them to be loyal to you. Like, that just to me was like darkly fitting. So that's why I picked Emerald, not because it's like, so yeah, that the whole thing with Emerald now, I guess, is going to be a canon gem. That is 100% coincidence, honestly. Just FYI. And anyway, a lot of people still want me to talk about personality, so I'm going to do that. I do imagine Emerald here, I almost imagine like a very conflicting kind of relationship between Aquamarine and Topaz, just because they're very different in personality. I almost imagine them getting like a weird sort of thing where like in the heat of the moment Emerald will say something mean or sassy or whatever, but then immediately backtrack and say no, I'm sorry, and there's like the Topaz kicking in, and then go back like, no, I'm not actually sorry, and like she'll just go do it again. So it's almost like, okay, are you nice or are you mean? I can't tell. And I do imagine like the fusion being kind of a bit of a wreck, you know, just a big old stressed out wreck, you know. I also imagine like going off of the idea of like sometimes fusions look more like one gem and then act more like the other. I would imagine this fusion in a general sense would probably look more like Topaz but act a bit more like Aquamarine. So yeah, that's my little thing on that. So that's kind of their basic personality. I mean, again, it's really hard to like get some kind of in-depth personality kind of thing when we only really know the basic personalities of both of them. But yeah, that's my thing. And I didn't know this would be a thing I'd have to address, but I guess I'm going to, question mark. For some reason, there was like a decent amount of people asking me, oh, like, are you just going to fuse the fusion Topaz or both Topazes singularly. And maybe I'm just the weird one, but part of me thinks it's a given that, like, why would I fuse the defused Topaz? They look exactly the same. Like, I guess maybe it's just me, but to me it feels kind of pointless to have basically 3 gems that look the same. Like in a fusion, whenever there's a fusion of both of them that looks the same as the 2 diffused. Like, I don't know, that just, I don't know, maybe that's just me and I'm just weird, but I just wanted to say that real quick, because, I don't know, I didn't think that'd be a thing I'd have to address, but but yeah, that's Emerald for you, Topaz and Aquamarine fusion, yay! So, that is all I think I have to say. This went on longer than I kind of expected it to, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry this has taken so long, and of course we're doing if you didn't already know, I'm doing it bi-weekly now, so it's not going to be corruption and fusion every week. It's going to be corruption and then fusion, then corruption again, then fusion. So next week will be Corrupt Day Monday again, so just FYI, who will it be? Ooh, spooky. But of course there will be a poll in the description where you can vote for the next fusion, and the next host is of course Topaz, everyone's lovely yellow brick, everyone's favorite lovely yellow brick. So yeah, you can go vote on that in the description below and have a fun time. I can't wait to see who wins. And I'm so glad to be back again. Yay! So yeah, with that out of the way, I'm sorry for rambling so long, and I hope you enjoyed this little commentary paint thing, and I will see you in the next video, whatever it may be. Zodiac out.